Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hey everyone, welcome back to Right on Track. Joining me on the show today is a very special guest from across the pond. Please welcome Eleonora. Hello.
Hi, Demi. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very well. It's a fairly summer day here in London, so it's a bit hot. But yeah, I'm doing very well. Feeling very productive since this morning.
Amazing. Well, I'm super excited to chat with you about songwriting and your new single. But before we get into all the specifics, I would love for you to share a little about yourself and your journey in music.
Yeah, so I am originally from Italy, so I moved to London about 15 years ago. And when I was in Italy, I had my bands. That's when I started songwriting. I was in my early 20s. And then I moved to London and I started um, singing with choirs. And then as I was singing with choirs, I started working on my own projects. So with maybe a duo, other bands, and I was mainly doing covers. But at the same time, I still wanted to write my own music. Um, and yeah, and that's when I started again. This happened during the lockdown. Started again writing because I had more time to focus on my writing. And I grew up, I always say I grew up in a house with a piano and the guitar, and favorite pastime was to sing next to my brother when he was playing the piano and I would sing next to him. So it started kind of naturally, I'd say.
That's amazing. I also love how you did a lot of covers before you started really getting into original music, because I did the exact same thing, and I feel like a lot of artists start there. And I think the interesting thing for me, I don't know if you've experienced this too, but when I was doing a lot of covers, I did covers for a couple years before I really started writing and releasing my own stuff. And during the time of doing covers, that's when I started to find my sound a bit, because I wasn't singing the songs exactly how the original artist did. I was making my own tweaks to them, and through doing that, I started to discover my own stylistic choices as an artist. And so when I started recording music, I kind of knew my sound, but of course that developed over the years once I started to record and release my own music. And I feel like I'm always discovering more about myself, but that starting point I found came from doing covers.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that through covers there's a lot of exploration because just as you said, by not um performing them or playing them or singing them just as they are in the original version, it gives you a lot of um room for exploration for your own sound. Up until then, I don't know, you find your own sound, your own confidence with certain things. And it I believe that it gives the liberty to say, hey, this is where or the freedom to say where this is where I want to go with my sound. I mean, it's you pointed that out greatly, but it's continuously evolving because it all depends with songwriting, it all depends what you're experiencing that moment in your life, what emotion you are connecting to that song. And yeah, there's a lot of continuous evolution, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're always evolving. And I think from project to project, especially, because I have a debut album out, then I had an EP, then I have my sophomore pop album, and then I have a new EP that I'm going to start releasing singles for soon. And so I've just found too, from project to project, there's a huge evolution, not only in the songwriting and the honesty level or the topics I'm writing about, but also in my voice. Like, I feel like I've grown more confident as a singer too, and that shows. And then also with the production, because I'm super hands-on in the studio, and at the very beginning, when I was doing my first album, my producer was pretty much doing things, and I was kind of sharing my thoughts, but mostly just sitting there while he did all the things, or I played a couple things. But now I go in, like, fully knowing what I want to do, and so I'm more involved in the production as well, and so it's really fun to evolve in all levels, from the songwriting to singing to production, and I'm excited to see how I continue to grow as I continue releasing music.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a beautiful journey. I mean, I would say that one can never get bored of the projects because they all have a different life. So yeah, I feel the same. I feel that there's something in my songs that it is always going to be there, roughly, as in it's me and I'm evolving my sound. I notice even when I am working on the vocals for each release, how I want to tap into different things and experiment and maybe um, just play around and see. Because the amazing thing is that there's no right or wrong as long as you feel free to try it. So it's it's an incredible journey for sure.
Yeah, and I really like what you said about there not being a right or wrong, because that's reminding me of several kind of conversations I had with my producer when we were working on my music in the studio. There were times where I'm like, well, is that better or is that better? Like, we would talk about different aspects of the song, and he's like, it's not like one way is better than the other, it's what feels right. And
Mhm.
like, he tells me that all the time, and so I'm, like, super aware of that. Like, even in the songwriting stage, if I write, like, say I'm writing a song, and I do a lot of piano ballads too, because 'cause I'm a
Mhm.
classical pianist, and so sometimes I'll add, like, a very fancy chord that maybe someone who isn't classically trained would put in, and maybe it's not, like, what everybody else would choose, but for me, that feels right. And it might sound a little different to the average listener, but to me, like, that's right. And when I play it, it feels right. And so I think that we really need to be in tune with how we're feeling when we're creating at all stages, because you're exactly right. There's not a right or wrong way. It's how we feel when we're doing a certain thing that determines if it's right or not for us.
Yeah, definitely. And it's part of the experimenting. I mean, the fact that you use a different chord in your ballads, it is your signature at the end to do things a little bit differently than the norm, maybe, or as opposed to what someone would expect from a piano ballad. I think that's what makes music unique because we all have different tastes. We all have different music that we listen to, or different training, or different um, simply experiences in life. So, and that those type of things they shape us in our choices. Then,
Absolutely. So now let's chat more about songwriting. So, like me, I know you also really like to write authentically and write songs based on your emotions and experiences. So, can you speak a little more to this, and also on how it feels to be so vulnerable in your music and knowing that people will be listening to it?
funnily enough, I never felt exposed for being vulnerable. I've always felt it as this is an experience I'm having. This is an emotion I'm experiencing, or a situation that I'm sharing, or thoughts that I'm sharing, feelings. And what I learned to understand is that vulnerability is shared. So in that moment, I feel that, yeah, I am the person uh, sharing those thoughts, feelings, and vulnerability, but the audience is actually connecting to that vulnerability. So it feels empowering because it feels. it feels it can bring connection to with the audience. So there's something magical about it. I never felt um, playing a song live, for example, oh, I'm not going to talk about this, or I'm not going to sing that song because it makes me feel vulnerable or naked or exposed. I just think that that's the real power of songwriting, because sometimes I think that it's kind of like being a channel. So we become a channel for the audience who's there listening. So it's a shared vulnerability.
I love everything you said. It definitely is magical and empowering. And like you, I think that whenever you are doing a show or doing an interview and somebody asks, like, oh, like, what's the song about? Or you're just sharing what the song's about, it might bring up some emotions when you're remembering why you wrote that song, but at the same time, I think it is important to be honest about why you wrote a song, because I absolutely love when I'm listening to interviews by my favorite artists, or I'm at one of my favorite artist shows and they're like talking about what a song is about before they sing it, and like feeling that human connection, because I think sometimes the general public can look at artists and be like, oh, they're different than me. Like, they're these musical people and they write and release music, but we're just like everybody else. And I think whenever you kind of draw back the curtain on that and be super real and talk about, like, this is what my song is about, it just shows people, like, yeah, they're literally just like me, but they were able to put their experiences and feelings into words and then set that to music. And so I absolutely love that aspect of the shared vulnerability and the humanity aspect as well. Yes, it might be scary to release a song with a very deep meaning, but there are people out there too who are going through the same thing or feel the same way. And so no one's ever alone.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's, because sometimes we might think about vulnerability and then immediately be judged by someone. But I think that the moment that we're sharing something, we're gonna um, erase any possibility for. I mean, judgment is going to be there anyway, because people are people, right? But I mean, I never thought of hitting or touching anyone with my music, or everyone. So I know that some people might like that type of vulnerability and some people might not resonate with that. So, and that's fine.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And the other thing I wanted to say too is when it comes down to songwriting and authenticity too, I think sometimes artists, especially ones just starting out, can think, what do people want to hear? Like, what's commercial? What do people want to hear? And they'll try to kind of tailor their songs to fit that mold. And I know for me, like, I totally did this when I started. Like, I wasn't necessarily like trying to mimic what was on Top 40 radio, but at the same time, like, I was thinking, like, okay, well, what themes are hitting? Like, what do people want? And I was kind of trying to write like that, even though, like, I was still writing authentically, but just not the whole way. And now I've realized, like, I don't really care what other people want to hear, because, like, I'm gonna write what I want to write, and it turns out that's what people want to hear. So I think we can think a little bit too much sometimes of what the audience wants, but what they really want is for people to be real, and speaking your truth through your music is what's going to allow that connection to happen.
Yeah, you're 100% sure. And I agree with you about overthinking the writing process at the beginning and thinking, oh, maybe people want to hear about that thing and maybe they don't want to listen to this type of story. And I think it's a strength to build, to stay authentic and not really, I mean, I don't want to say not really care, but just, as you said, speaking our own truth and carry on, because the more we do that, the more we also become a not a symbol but a representation of a type of um, vulnerability or authenticity, because we're not sharing. I mean, even though as musicians we are all sharing our vulnerabilities, we are all authentic, we have different personalities, and this means that we're sharing at different levels, again, not right or wrong, just different. And I mean, it could be a challenge, I guess, to I mean, it is a challenge actually to think, oh, to stay on our own path of songwriting and say, no, this is what I feel, this is how I'm going to say it.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I would love to hear about your new single, Creator. So can you please share the inspiration behind this?
So the story of Creator is one of the songs that I wrote during the lockdown in between 2020 and 2021. And at that time, I was doing the artist way. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book. And one evening, um, I was in the depth of the journey with the book, and I remember thinking, yeah, I really feel like I want to write a song, and I really feel like I'm doing um, I am manifesting my own dreams, and so that's how the first verse um, was written. When I say I'm the creator of beautiful things, I'm the creator of your wildest dreams, because I saw that as a dialogue between myself and myself, so something like my creative self. Um, and so in the song, I started exploring what are the things that sometimes can be a challenge or can prevent us from going where we want to go. And I started thinking about our beliefs, our patterns, our thoughts, our history, and so I sat down on the floor in my house, picked up the guitar, started writing, and then I thought, I don't. My idea for the chorus was to keep it very, very um, simple because in the whole process of manifesting our dreams or making our dreams come true, there's that detachment aspect. So when we say, yes, I want to achieve something, but I also have to do my best to achieve that. And at one point, I have to let go of what is going to be the outcome after I've done um, anything I can or everything I could possibly do for this. Um, and so that's how it all started. And I started performing it live right after the lockdown, and I have been thinking about it for a long time. As in, okay, I want to release it. This is a message that I don't know if it happens the same with you, but every time I release a song, I feel I am giving something to the world without expecting anything, but also I am somehow releasing literally the song of my system. So it's no longer only my song where I say, yes, I want to manifest my dreams, but it's the song for everyone to manifest their dreams.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, first of all, I completely agree with you about giving something to the world when you release a song. Second of all, I needed to hear this song right now. Like, I am honestly at a place because I'm an author too. And long story short, a couple months ago, I parted ways with my literary agent, and I want to find a new agent, and so I'm currently in the process of doing that. And I've been at like peak manifestation for like a few months now, and literally like hearing this song is like it's gonna happen. Like I know it's gonna happen. I just don't know when, but it's going to happen. And so like I love this. Like I'm all for manifestation and like wishing for your dreams and all the things. So I found this super super relatable.
Amazing. Thank you.
Huh. So what do you hope listeners take away from this?
So, as a takeaway for the audience, since we touched on manifestation, vulnerability, and authenticity, I would say find your way to express yourself, find that thing that makes you feel happy, and work on that. As in, you don't have to become a famous person, but just find the channel for you to express yourself, because being vulnerable and authentic to yourself changes the outlook on life.
Perfect. Love it so much. Thank you for joining me for this chat. Just to wrap up, can you please share some final words of wisdom with any songwriters listening?
Write as much as you can, and anything you're experiencing can be inspiration, can be source of inspiration.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. Can you please share with everybody where they can connect with you online and listen to your music?
Yes, so you can find me all over the social media world, from Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, as Sound of Eleonora, which is Eleonora. And thank you very much, Danny, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a joy having you. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this chat with Eleonora. And of course, until next time, stay
Stay
right
right
on
on
track.
track.